Ever marvel why some people always appreciate effortlessly? They are by no means interrupted. Their time is never wasted. So, what makes them distinct? And what do they that you do not? I am approximately to tell you something that is going to make you indignant. The reason they get appreciate isn't always because they may be smarter, richer, or extra a hit than you. It's due to the fact they recognize one psychological trick that you've by no means been taught. A trick so easy yet so effective that after you apprehend it, your whole lifestyles will trade. Someone cuts in front of you in line and also you say nothing. A pal cancels plans remaining minute for the 1/3 time and you simply smile. Someone takes credit score in your idea and you let it slide. You know what you're genuinely doing. You are schooling human beings to walk all over you. But here's the component it is going to surprise you. The individuals who by no means deal with this, they are now not warding off it via twist of fate. They are using a dark secret about human psychology that Machiavelli discovered 500 years ago. A mystery that separates folks who command admire from folks who beg for approval. What if I advised you that being favored is truly making you weak? That whenever you try and please anyone, you are gifting away your power. That the tougher you chase approval, the less humans definitely admire you. This isn't feel precise recommendation. That is raw psychology that works each single time. By way of the cease of this video, you may apprehend why a few human beings clearly command rooms even as others disappear in them. Why some human beings get listened to while others get left out. And most importantly, a way to turn out to be the person that in no way gets disrespected again. Are you equipped to prevent being anybody's backup plan and begin being their first choice? Now, I want you to drop this confirmation in the feedback. Respect over approval. Number 1, the hidden weak spot of being favored. Each single character who's walked throughout you, disregarded you, or dealt with you want you don't remember. They all have one factor in not unusual. They knew you wished their approval more than they wanted yours. Consider it. Whilst was the closing time a person simply reputable, a person who was desperate to be preferred? By no means, because desperation has an odor, and each person can experience it from a mile away. What takes place when you make being preferred your precedence? You become predictable. People know precisely how you'll react. They recognize you may smile even when they insult you. They recognize you will agree even when they are incorrect. They recognize you'll show up even if they don't admire your time. And after you're predictable, you come to be disposable. The more difficult you try and be appreciated, the much less people in reality such as you. It's backwards, I understand. However, consider the human beings you genuinely appreciate. Are they the ones constantly searching for your approval? Or are they those who seem absolutely exceptional without it? The reality is, human beings are interested in individuals who don't want them. It's human psychology 101. We want what we can't have, and we push aside what comes too clean. When you chase approval, you're literally making yourself less precious in anybody's eyes. Machiavelli once stated, "It is better to be feared than cherished in case you can't be each." He wasn't speaking about being a tyrant. He becomes speak me about the psychology of appreciate. Fear right here would not suggest terror. It manner effects. When human beings realize there is a fee to crossing you, they deal with you in another way. Study the people who command actual appreciate to your lifestyles. Your toughest instructor, your strictest boss, that pal who continually tells you the fact, even if it hurts. What do they all have in not unusual? They don't need your approval to feel good about themselves. They have got boundaries and they implement them. In the meantime, the people pleasers, they get walked on, ignored, and forgotten. Because when you make yourself to be had to anyone, you emerge as special to no one. Those who advantage from your want to be liked, they don't really recognize you for it. Deep down, they see you as susceptible. They might use exceptional words. They may smile for your face. However, in the back of closed doors, they realize you're the man or woman they are able to expect to bend over backwards for scraps of interest. That is the entice that keeps tens of millions of humans powerless. They suppose being best and agreeable will earn them love and respect. However, all it earns them is being taken with no consideration due to the fact admire isn't always given, it is commanded. And you cannot command whatever whilst you're for your knees begging for approval. Drop this confirmation in the comments. I select electricity, variety, the dark energy of respect. Now that you understand why being appreciated is really sabotaging your lifestyles, allows speak about what without a doubt works. Recognize. And now not the fake respect human beings provide you with whilst they're trying to be well-mannered. I am speaking about the deep instinctive recognize that makes human beings think twice earlier than they mess with you. Appreciate is constructed on one easy precept, outcome. Whilst humans recognize that crossing you may value them something, they don't cross you. It's that easy, but when human beings know they could stroll throughout you with none keep off, bet what takes place, they stroll all over you. That is wherein most people get it wrong. They assume admire comes from being spectacular, a success, or gifted. But that's not admire, that is admiration. Appreciate comes from knowing you may not tolerate disrespect. It comes from boundaries that clearly suggest something. Permit me break this down for you. Whilst someone disrespects you, and also you do not anything, you're teaching them that disrespecting you is loose. You are literally training them to deal with you badly. But when someone disrespects you, and there's an instantaneous effect, they lose get entry to you. They lose your help. They lose your presence. They learn real short no longer to do it again. This is why the nicest human beings often get dealt with the worst. They've skilled anybody round them that horrific behavior has no consequences. They have made themselves safe to disrespect. And when you're safe to disrespect, appreciate will become not possible. But what occurs whilst you flip the script? While you make it clear that a while, attention, and strength have fee. When you display humans that disrespecting you comes with a fee, the whole thing modifications. Suddenly, people begin looking their words round you. They begin thinking earlier than they act. They begin treating you like someone who matters. Machiavelli as soon as said, guys are so easy and so geared up to obey present requirements that he who deceives will always locate a person who will permit himself to be deceived. People will treat you exactly the way you permit them to treat you. No higher, no worse. The darkish strength of respect is that it is self-reinforcing. The more you demand it, the extra you get it. The greater you get it, the simpler it turns into to demand it. It is an upward spiral that transforms how all of us sees you. But here's the important thing: distinction among disturbing, recognize, and traumatic. Be appreciated. Whilst you call for to be favored, you are setting different people on top of things. They determine whether or not to offer you what you want. But when you call for recognize, you are in control. Due to the fact respect is not something they come up with. It is something you are taking via refusing to simply accept something much less. Consider the maximum respected people you realize. Do they beg for respect? Do they provide an explanation for why they deserve it? Do they compromise their requirements to make others comfortable? By no means. They in reality refuse to accept disrespect, and that refusal will become their strength. That is what separates the powerful from the powerless. The effective take into account that appreciate is non-negotiable. The powerless suppose recognize is something you earn by being greater quality and extra giving. But you cannot earn respect by giving your electricity away. You earn admire by means of retaining it. Drop this confirmation within the feedback. My worth is not controversial. Range 3. The psychology of manage. Right here's something it truly is going to blow your thoughts. Each unmarried interaction you've got is ready manipulate. who is in control of the verbal exchange, who is in control of the relationship, who is on top of things of the outcome. And right, here's the kicker. In case you do not know who is on top of things, it is now not you. Approval seekers give up, manipulate without even understanding it. Every time you alter your behavior to get a person's approval, you're giving them control over your moves. Every time you chew your tongue to avoid war, you are giving them manipulate over your voice. On every occasion you assert yes while you want to mention no, you are giving them control over your picks. However, people who don't want approval, they hold manipulate. They talk their thoughts irrespective of how others react. They make choices primarily based on what they want, no longer what others assume. They set the phrases of each interplay as opposed to accepting anything terms others offer. This is why approval addiction is so risky. It's not pretty much feeling desirable or horrific. It is about who gets to decide what happens for your life. And whilst you want different human beings' approval to sense okay approximately yourself, you have essentially handed them the far-off manage in your feelings. Consider it like this. While you desperately need a person to love you, you may do nearly whatever to preserve them satisfied. You'll alternate your critiques, conceal parts of yourself, and compromise your values. You end up anything they need you to be. It truly is now not a relationship. It truly is slavery with more steps. However, when you don't need their approval, while you're perfectly nice with them disliking you, if that is what it takes to live actual to yourself, now you've got all of the electricity due to the fact they cannot use your want towards you. This is the secret that confident human beings apprehend. They may be not assured due to the fact nothing bothers them. They are assured due to the fact they do not allow different people's reviews control their 310 EO 1671 F8 CDCA 56 BBF CD 482,325,088. They've made themselves psychologically untouchable. Machiavelli as soon as said, "Every person sees what you seem like. If you enjoy what you surely are." The moment you forestall performing for others' approval, you end up unpredictable, and unpredictability is energy. What takes place while you damage loose from the approval trap? First, human beings don't know the way to manage you anymore. They can't push your buttons because you have disconnected the buttons out of your moves. They cannot guilt you, shame you, or strain you due to the fact the ones approaches handiest paintings on folks that want validation. Second, your decision then becomes crystal clean. As opposed to asking what will make others glad, you start asking what is pleasant for me. Instead of seeking to please everybody, you attention on captivating the only individual whose opinion clearly topics, yourself. 33. Your relationships enhance dramatically. Now not all of them. A few human beings will hate that they can't manage you anymore, and they will disappear out of your lifestyles. Accurate. The relationships that live on are the real ones, primarily based on mutual recognize in place of your desperation for approval. That is the psychology shift that changes everything. From "I am hoping they like me" to "I do not care if they like me." From "what do they assume" to "what do I assume." From "I need their approval" to "they need to earn my admire." Now I need you to drop this affirmation inside the feedback. I manage my really worth. Variety 4. The addiction to approval. Let's communicate approximately something uncomfortable. Your need for approval is not just a persona trait. It's an addiction, and prefer any addiction, it is being used in opposition to you via people who understand exactly the way it works. Here's how approval addiction works. A person gives you a praise, likes your put up, or tells you you are exceptional. Your mind releases dopamine, the same chemical that's released when people use tablets. You sense precise, in reality exact, and similar to any drug. As soon as that high wears off, you need every other hit. But here's wherein it receives sinister. The humans round you figure out this pattern real brief. They research that a little bit of approval can get you to do almost whatever. Want you to paintings overdo, a bit reward about your work ethic. need you to lend them cash, a compliment approximately how generous you are, need you to ignore their bad conduct. If you candy communicate approximately how expertise you're, they're actually using your brain chemistry in opposition to you. And the worst element, you're assisting them do it via being so determined for his or her validation that you may take whatever scraps they throw your manner. This is why approval dependency is so dangerous. It makes you easy to govern. People understand precisely which buttons to push to get you to do what they want. They do not need to pressure you or threaten you. They simply ought to give you a tiny little bit of the validation you are yearning, and you will bend over backwards for them. But folks who don't want approval, they are impossible to govern this manner. You can't manipulate someone with compliments in the event that they do not want compliments. You cannot manage someone with recognition in the event that they don't need recognition. You can't use their emotions in opposition to them if their feelings don't rely on your opinion. The brutal reality approximately validation. It's cheap to give and highly priced to get hold of. Everybody can let you know you're first rate. It fees them nothing. However, for you to feel good about yourself, you need to listen it over and over once more from more and more human beings. You turn out to be dependent on something that others manipulate absolutely. Machiavelli as soon as said, "He who neglects what is performed for what ought to be finished sooner impacts his break than his protection." Whilst you awareness on what others think you ought to be rather than what you virtually are, you ruin your very own energy. Think about how this plays out in real existence. The approval addict adjustments their personality depending on who they're with. They have got exclusive evaluations in special companies. They conceal elements of themselves that may not be popular. They emerge as a collection of masks in place of an actual individual. Meanwhile, those who do not need approval stay constant. They're the equal man or woman in every room. They specific their real critiques regardless of how others react. They do not disguise their actual selves because they're now not afraid of disapproval. And satirically, this authenticity makes them more reputable and more without a doubt favored than any human being's pleaser ever may be. However, breaking approval addiction isn't easy. Your mind will combat you every step of the way. It'll tell you that without others' approval, you will be by myself and rejected. It's going to make you feel responsible for not worrying what others suppose. It will try to pull you returned into the pattern of looking for validation. This is in which discipline comes in. You have to consciously pick to prevent in search of approval, even if every fiber of your being desires to chase it. You need to be inclined to be disliked, misunderstood, and criticized. You have to price your personal opinion extra than the evaluations of every person else combined. Now, I want you to drop this affirmation in the remarks. My validation comes from within. Number 5, Machiavellian regulations to command admire. Now we get to the sensible stuff. The rules so that it will rework you from someone who gets walked directly to a person who commands appreciate without saying a word. Those are not just theories. These are tested principles that work every unmarried time. Rule 1, speak less, act more. The general public talk too much and do too little. They give an explanation for themselves constantly, make excuses, and overcommunicate the entirety. This makes them appearance susceptible and desperate for understanding. Those who command appreciate do the other. They speak after they have something critical to say, and that they let their moves talk for them. They do not explain their decisions to folks that do not deserve factors. They don't justify their picks to individuals who wouldn't make higher ones. When someone disrespects you, do not give them a speech approximately respect. Simply dispose of yourself from their presence. When someone breaks a boundary, don't explain why limitations matter. Simply implement the outcome. When someone questions your selection, don't defend it. Simply stick with it. Machiavelli once said, "The lion cannot shield himself from traps, and the fox cannot defend himself from wolves." One must consequently be a fox to apprehend traps, and a lion to frighten wolves. Be the fox when you want to be strategic, and be the lion when you want to expose electricity. Rule, in no way chase. Approval. This one's simple, but no longer clean. No matter how an awful lot you want a person to love you, in no way chase their approval. Don't textual cunt, end them again and again if they don't reply. Do not provide an explanation for yourself once they seem dissatisfied. Do not try and win them over whilst they're being cold. Chasing approval broadcasts desperation, and desperation repels respect. As an alternative, be indifferent to their opinion of you. If they prefer you, outstanding. If they don't, this is their loss. This indifference is magnetic. It makes human beings surprise why you do not need their approval, which makes them recognize you greater. Rule 3. Stay bloodless and calm below assault. When someone attempts to provoke you, insult you, or push your buttons, your reaction determines the whole lot. If you get emotional, shielding, or angry, they win. They have established they are able to manage your feelings, which means that they have got energy over you. However, in case you stay absolutely calm, if you reply to their assault with cold indifference or maybe mild amusement, you have simply shown all of us looking that they cannot contact you. You're psychologically bulletproof, and that is terrifying to folks that rely upon emotional manipulation. Rule 4. Live unpredictable. Predictable people are effortlessly managed, while others recognize precisely how you will react to each state of affairs. They could manipulate those reactions to get what they want from you. Maintain people guessing. Occasionally be beneficent. Occasionally be ruthless. From time to time be social. Every so often be remote. From time to time help others. Now and again place yourself first. This unpredictability continues others off balance and forces them to recognize your autonomy. Machiavelli once stated, considering that love and fear can hardly ever exist together, if we ought to pick between them, it is a long way safer to be feared than cherished. Don't be predictably high quality and don't be predictably mean. Be strategically both. Rule 5. Implement limitations hastily and silently. While someone crosses a line, the rate and clarity of your reaction topics greater than the severity. A fast proportional outcome teaches the lesson better than a behind-schedule harsh punishment, and silence often speaks louder than causes. Don't warn people multiple instances. Don't give second probabilities to the same behavior. Do not provide an explanation for why their behavior become wrong. Just put in force the result at once and circulate on. This teaches absolutely everyone around you that your obstacles are actual, not pointers. Drop this confirmation in the remarks. I am unmovable. Range 6. Shortage and distance as electricity multipliers. Here's something that the majority get backwards. They assume being continuously available makes them precious. They assume usually pronouncing sure makes them indispensable. They think giving unlimited access to their time and interest makes them loved. They're incorrect on each count. Scarcity creates value, always has, constantly will. While something is uncommon, human beings want it more. While something is common, human beings take it without any consideration. This is applicable to cash, items, possibilities, and most importantly, you. Whilst you're constantly to be had, you become background noise in human beings' lives. They know you may continually be there so that they prevent appreciating your presence. They recognize you may always say sure, so they stop valuing your cooperation. They understand you'll constantly forgive them in order that they forestall worrying approximately hurting you. But whilst your time becomes scarce, when your attention becomes restrained, while your forgiveness turns into conditional, suddenly human beings begin treating these items just like the precious assets they clearly are. Consider the human beings who have the maximum social power in any institution. Are they the ones who show as much of everything and trust every person? By no means. They are the ones who show up once they want to, go away while they're geared up, and say no without explanation. Their selective presence makes their real presence more precious. That is the energy of strategic distance, not being cold or cruel. However, being selective about where you invest your electricity, not being suggest to human beings, but not being without end to be had to them either. Machiavelli as soon as stated, men judge usually extra by way of the eye than with the aid of the hand. For absolutely everyone can see and few can experience. Every person sees what you appear like. Few simply recognize what you are. The much less people see of you, the extra they marvel approximately you. And interest is magnetic. How this performs out practically, as opposed to being the person who responds to each textual content right away, become the person who responds whilst it's handy for you. In place of being available for every hangout, come to be selective about which invitations you be given. Instead of supporting everyone who asks, assist folks that deserve it. This isn't approximately being rude or selfish. It's about understanding that your time and energy are finite resources and treating them for this reason. When you supply those resources away freely to each person, they end up worthless. When you deliver them selectively to those who recognize them, they become priceless. The lovely issue approximately shortage is that it's self-reinforcing. The much less to be had you grow to be, the greater people need your interest. The more they want your attention, the better they deal with you to get it. The better they deal with you, the greater selective you can have the funds for to be. It's an upward spiral of recognize and have an effect on. However, you have to be inclined to lose a few people in this manner. The folks that only valued you due to the fact you have been clean to get admission to will disappear when you become selective. Good. Those weren't actual relationships besides. They have been just human beings taking advantage of your availability. Those who stick around, those who recognize your limitations and recognize your selective presence, those are the relationships worth having. They're based totally on mutual admire instead of your desperation to thrill. Distance also offers you angle. Whilst you're now not constantly seeking to manipulate each person else's emotions and critiques, you can without a doubt suppose sincerely approximately what you want. While you're no longer usually reacting to different human beings' needs, you can be proactive about your very own dreams. That is why the maximum powerful people frequently seem barely detached. It is not that they don't care, it's that they don't care an excessive amount of. They keep in mind that emotional distance is important for clear questioning and suitable decision making. So what takes place whilst you genuinely implement those standards? While you prevent chasing approval and start commanding appreciate, while you replace your addiction to being appreciated with the energy of being respected, the whole lot changes, and I imply the entirety. First, your relationships improve dramatically. No longer they all. A few human beings will hate the brand new you because they cannot manage you anymore. But the relationships that continue to exist come to be deeper and more real. Humans begin relating to the real you instead of the people-pleasing masks you used to put on. 2D, your confidence skyrockets. Not fake self-assurance that relies upon others' validation. However, real confidence that comes from understanding your worth isn't up for debate. You stop 2D, guessing yourself because you forestall worrying if others consider your picks. Third, possibilities begin coming to you instead of you chasing them. People begin looking for your opinion because they recognize you'll give them the reality, not what they want to listen. They start imparting you better positions because they recognize you might not just be given something they provide you with. Fourth, your pressure ranges drop via the ground when you prevent trying to manipulate everybody else's feelings and evaluations. Existence will become so much easier. You could cognizance on what without a doubt matters rather than constantly annoying about who you would possibly have disillusioned. However, the most important change, you emerge as psychologically unfastened. Loose from the arduous cycle of seeking approval and fending off disapproval. loose from the want to be a person exclusive for anyone you meet, free to be authentically yourself without apology or clarification. Machiavelli as soon as stated, "It isn't always titles that honor men, but guys that honor titles." Your really worth does not come from what others think of you. It comes from what you observed of yourself and how you pick to expose up in the global. This change is not instantaneous, and it is no longer always comfy. You will be tempted to slide returned into old patterns when things get hard. You may second-guess yourself when humans react negatively to your new boundaries. You will wonder in case you're being too harsh whilst you put into effect results. However, stick with it. Because on the alternative side of this soreness is a model of yourself that you've in all likelihood by no means met. Someone who instructions respect without disturbing it, who draws genuine relationships without chasing them, who has actual power without abusing it. The sector is complete of human beings desperately trying to be favored. However, it's desperately quick of folks that command authentic respect. Which one do you pick to be? If you've made it this a long way, you're already different from the majority. The general public can't handle uncomfortable truths approximately themselves and their relationships. Most of the people would, as a substitute, stay secure and powerless than face the reality of how they've been giving their strength away. But you are nonetheless here. This means that you're prepared to make the exchange from a person who gets walked on to a person who receives respected. From someone who begs for approval to a person who doesn't need it. From someone who gives their power away to someone who maintains it. Recall, this isn't about becoming bloodless or merciless. It's about becoming strong. It's approximately expertise you're well worth and refusing to just accept anything less than recognize. It's approximately breaking loose from the approval dependency. It has been controlling your existence and getting into the power. This has been anticipating you all along. The ideas we've got protected today, speaking less and appearing extra, never chasing approval, staying calm under attack, ultimate unpredictable, enforcing obstacles hastily, and the use of scarcity strategically. Those are not just processes, they are a way of lifestyles, a manner of transferring through the arena that commands respect mechanically. Machiavelli once said, "The smart man does right now what the fool does subsequently." Don't be the person who waits till they've been walked on for years earlier than they eventually decide to stand up for themselves. Begin nowadays. Start now. Start with the very next interaction you've got. Your destiny self, the one who instructions respect, who has real relationships, who does not want every person's approval to feel entire, is ready, which will make this selection. The most effective query is, how lengthy are you going to lead them to wait? If this video opened your eyes to how you have been giving your strength away, spoil that like button. In case you recognize a person who desires to pay attention this message, share it with them. And if you need extra content material that cuts through the nonsense and offers you actual tools for personal power, join this channel and hit the notification bell. The journey from human's pleaser to respected man or woman starts with an unmarried step. You have simply taken it by watching this video. Now take the next one with the aid of imposing what you've found out. Now, I need you to drop this final confirmation inside the feedback. Respect is my birthright. Keep in mind, in a world full of humans begging to be favored, the person that doesn't want approval holds all the cards. Be that man or woman. Command the honor you deserve, and watch how the whole thing to your life transforms while you subsequently prevent giving your strength away.